The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. On one occasion, Jesus said, "Father, Lord of heaven and earth, to you I offer praise. For what you have hidden from the learned and clever, you have revealed to the merest children. Father, it is true, you have graciously willed it so. Everything has been given over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son but the Father, and no one knows the Father but the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all you who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will refresh you. Take my yoke upon your shoulders and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart. Your souls will find rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden light." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Praise be Jesus and Mary. We just heard these words in the Gospel. Father, Lord of heaven and earth, I offer you praise. For what you have hidden from the learned and the clever, you have revealed to the merest children. Saint Joseph of Cupertino is a marvelous example of this. He was born in the south of Italy, in the town of Cupertino, and right from the outset it was evident that he had no intellectual capabilities, but not even practical abilities. While other boys of his age were clever and capable of learning, he could learn nothing. He wasn't even able to complete sentences. He would just stop halfway because he couldn't remember the words. And any kind of practical work would just remain undone because he was not able to apply himself in any way. So he made no progress at all in school. In the end, he was sent to try out various jobs, but to no avail. He would not be capable of learning anything. But he had one good quality, and that was that he recognized his own just incapability of learning. So he just humbly acknowledged that and accepted even the despisal that was so often sent his way on the part of others. Even his own mother lost patience with him and tried to just send him away. Finally, one day it sort of dawned on him that maybe he should become a friar. So he tried various monasteries and ended up being accepted by the Capuchins for a while. But he just kept breaking things, couldn't apply himself to studies, and so in the end, the Capuchins just sent him home, took his habit away and sent him home. So his mother was pretty distraught to see him back at home, and went back in person, his mother, to the friary, begging the friars to accept him again. And the friars, just out of pure charity and pity, accepted him not as a friar, but as just as a worker who would tend the donkeys in the shed. And so Saint Joseph went and began that task. And that's where a little change began to take place. He sort of realized, okay, I'm not going to make it in anything, but let me at least try to take care of these donkeys with attention. So he began to do that. And after a while, the friars began to notice just how joyful he was. At night, he was just sleeping on a plank inside the shed. And during the day, they would always find him there, always full of joy, and always diligent in his task, which is just so simple, that of tending the donkeys. And so they began to appreciate and understand his deeper virtue after a while, and finally ended up reversing their decision and accepted him into the convent. And then tried to, after his novitiate, try to get him to start priestly studies. But once again, his inability to learn was manifest. Couldn't learn anything. But by some providential events, he ended up being ordained a priest. In the one case, there was one exam at that time. The exams were entirely oral for the priesthood, and I believe it was in preparation for his ordination to the diaconate. The bishop, who at that time would actually examine the students, posed him the only question to which he knew the answer. He had managed to learn the commentary to just one line of the gospel. That's all he had managed to assimilate. And providentially, the bishop asked him just that question, and he managed to reply and was passed. And then for the ordination to the priesthood, he was last in line for the exam, and the others just did so well that when the bishop got to the last 3 or 4, he just said, "Oh, everyone's just promoted, everyone's doing so well," so he just passed through. And then as a priest, his, you could say, special charisms began to be made manifest. That which on the outset it seemed like someone who was very distracted actually revealed himself to be someone who was very much interiorly drawn to God. And so he would just be constantly sort of in an ecstatic state of union with God. And to that was added then the gift of levitation, but levitation as was never seen and maybe will never be seen again, not just a foot off the ground like some saints, but even 40 feet going right across the church. It was usually in a moment in which he would see an image of Our Lady or one of the saints and just become entirely interiorly elevated, contemplating that mystery, and just fly literally across the church or across a town square. And this happened so often and so many times as thought that maybe half his religious life was spent in the air. Obviously, this attracted a lot of attention. It took place even in the presence of a cardinal once, and he had to be continually moved around so as to avoid the crowds that would come and seek him out. And in the end, the Holy See decided, as a test for his virtue, to send him quietly during the night. No one would know about it. They sent him to Osimo, which is where he actually died, where for about 20 years, no one in the town knew that he was there. Only the mayor of the town and the friars knew that he was there, because they wanted to keep it a complete secret. So he spent the last 20 years of his life, you could say in a certain sense, in the prison. Just all he could do every day was celebrate Mass and then go back to his cell. Couldn't do anything else. But in the midst of all this, he displayed his incredible virtues and union with God. He's the patron saint, as you can imagine, of those who travel by air. And he's also the patron saint of students because of this, incredible providential act or event by which he managed to pass an exam, even though, practically speaking, he wasn't capable of it. Many interpretations have been given as to the reason behind this gift of levitation, but I would say that the most probable one is the one that, according to which God wished, in a certain sense, to anticipate with something which wasn't yet in a body that participated in the future glory of the risen body, but in a certain sense anticipate that agility which risen bodies will have, the glorified body will have amongst some of the other qualities, agility. In other words, it'll be able to move around. It'll participate in the characteristics of the soul than the characteristics of bodies, or the proper characteristics of bodies that are in time and space. And it'll just be able to move around with the soul, That's almost what happened with Saint Joseph of Cupertino. But also, I would say that it was an external sign that revealed the movements of his soul. As his soul was always soaring up to God and united to God, so his body would almost basically participate with that and render it visible. Let us praise our Lord for the greatness of his saints, especially saints like this, that reveal such simplicity on the one hand and humility, on the other hand, such great love of God and such obedience. In spite of being moved around, in spite of many trying tests of obedience, he would always obey with the greatest simplicity and love of God. So let us ask him for the grace of this humility and simplicity, the grace of admitting our weaknesses and limitations without getting upset when people point them out, but just doing like he did, just humbly acknowledging it. And in that way, our Lord in his providence can use even these things as a stepping stone to virtue and to union with him. Praise be Jesus and Mary.
Now